Urgent Dirty Birds fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest Dirty Birds news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. 3 Atlanta Falcons players under an unfair amount of pressure in 2025. These players should not have as much on their plate as they do. With a casual offseason thus far, the Atlanta Falcons have put a lot of pressure on numerous players in 2025. Their limited cap space has limited the moves they can make, but they could easily been more aggressive. With the loss of a franchise legend and a need for improvement at different positions, the Falcons are expecting too much out of many players, as we stand now. Let's look at the 3 who stick out. With a casual offseason thus far, the Atlanta Falcons have put a lot of pressure on numerous players in 2025. Their limited cap space has limited the moves they can make, but they could easily been more aggressive. With the loss of a franchise legend and a need for improvement at different positions, the Falcons are expecting too much out of many players as we stand now. Let's look at the 3 who stick out. 3 Falcons under an unfair amount of pressure. In 2025, Ryan Neuzil, the Falcons were smart to move on from Drew Dalman. As great as he was, paying him the money that the Bears did would have been a mistake, especially with Ryan Neuzil sitting there. However, we can't act like Neuzil's transition into the starting lineup will be seamless. The former undrafted free agent has only made spot starts and will now be tasked with working with a young quarterback who also needs as much help as possible. Ruko Hohoro, DT after a rookie season shortened due to injury, Ruko Hohoro will be seen as Grady Jarrett's replacement. That isn't an enviable position to be in. With a casual offseason thus far, the Atlanta Falcons have put a lot of pressure on numerous players in 2025. Their limited cap space has limited the moves they can make, but they could easily been more aggressive. With the loss of a franchise legend and a need for improvement at different positions, the Falcons are expecting too much out of many players as we stand now. Let's look at the 3 who stick out. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Dirty Birds news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Falcons signed to Tegan Quitoriano. The Falcons signed tight end Tegan Quitoriano on Friday, the team announced. They also made the signing of German-born kicker Lenny Krieg official. The addition of Krieg previously was reported. Quitoriano entered the NFL as a 5th-round pick of the Texans in 2022, and he spent most of his first 3 seasons in Houston. He briefly was on the Bears practice squad last season before rejoining the Texans. As a rookie for the Texans, Quitoriano appeared in 9 games with 6 starts and caught 7 of his 14 targets for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. He averaged 1 yards per reception. In 2023, Quitoriano appeared in 7 games, starting 5. He caught 2 of his 3 targets for 33 yards, averaging 5 yards per reception. Quitoriano played 7 games in 2024, starting 4, but did not record any stats. He spent time on injured reserve in each of his first 3 seasons, missing time in 2022 with a knee injury, undergoing surgery for a groin injury in 2023, and injuring a calf in 2024. Quitoriano joins a tight ends room in Atlanta that features Kyle Pitts, Charlie Werner, and Felipe Franks. Atlanta Falcons in the perfect position to consider a draft day trade. How the Atlanta Falcons are going to approach the 15th pick in this year's draft remains a mystery. Atlanta GM Terry Fontenot has rarely made the expected move, and there is no reason to believe that this year will be any different. The Falcons need help rushing the passer and in the secondary. It seems likely the pick is going to address one of these remaining concerns. Looking at the team's current depth chart at the edge position, Braylon Trice, Arnold Ebiketie, and Leonard Floyd project as the team's top pass rushers. This is far from a proven group and could suggest the Falcons prefer to add a starting option. Considering the amount of edge rushing prospects, it wouldn't be a surprise to see Atlanta trade down if the opportunity were to present itself. How the Atlanta Falcons are going to approach the 15th pick in this year's draft remains a mystery. Atlanta GM Terry Fontenot has rarely made the expected move, and there is no reason to believe that this year will be any different. The Falcons need help rushing the passer and in the secondary. It seems likely the pick is going to address one of these remaining concerns. Looking at the team's current depth chart at the edge position, Braylon Trice, Arnold Ebiketie, and Leonard Floyd project as the team's top pass rushers. This is far from a proven group and could suggest the Falcons prefer to add a starting option. Considering the amount of edge rushing prospects, it wouldn't be a surprise to see Atlanta trade down if the opportunity were to present itself. Atlanta has limited draft selections, making the team a clear target for a team needing to move up. The Falcons lost one pick, courtesy of Kirk Cousins, and another due to the trade for edge rusher Matthew Judon. This leaves Atlanta with only 5 picks in this year's draft and a myriad of defensive needs. The fact that you could justify a first-round selection at safety, corner, linebacker, or edge rusher speaks to an alarming lack of defensive depth. One great first-round pick isn't going to fix all of the issues for this defense. Atlanta needs an incredibly strong draft class, and that is going to mean adding more picks. This is obviously completely hinging on a team being willing to give up a pick to move up on night one. Atlanta will be taking all calls, but going to need the right deal to present itself to be able to make the move. Trading down should be high on Terry Fontenot's draft priority list, unless the Falcons have another path to bringing in additional picks. Looking at the team's lack of trade assets, this seems unlikely. If Atlanta is going to have a chance to greatly improve the defense, it must involve trading back and adding additional selections. Atlanta Falcons trade involving multi-time Pro Bowler could be coming. The Atlanta Falcons felt like they finally built a roster that could compete in the playoffs last season after signing Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million contract in free agency. Yet their high-priced acquisition didn't turn out the way they imagined. Cousins did help the Falcons' offense improve from the 26th ranked scoring unit in 2022 to the 13th best scoring attack in 2023. However, the Falcons only improved their win, total by 1, topping out at 8 games after making an offseason coaching change from Arthur Smith to Raheem Morris. Late in the season, when the Falcons needed a spark after narrowly escaping with a 6-point victory over the Las Vegas Raiders, they turned to rookie first-round selection Michael Penix Jr., placing their 4-time Pro Bowl QB on the bench. Now, the keys to Atlanta's offense belong to Penix, the franchise quarterback of the future. So where does that leave Cousins, who has 3 years remaining on his contract? NFL Insider hints at likely Kirk Cousins trade. Kirk Cousins will turn 37 years old in August. He doesn't want to waste what's likely one of the final years of his NFL career as a backup quarterback. He wants to be out on the field, competing at the highest level with the rest of his starting quarterback peers. Barring injury, the Falcons won't be starting the season with Cousins as their starter, which means the 13-year NFL veteran likely wants a trade. The only issue is that the Falcons don't want to just give their talented quarterback away. After all, the Falcons won the Cousins free agency sweepstakes last offseason. Shouldn't there be some sort of reward? Instead, the Falcons are set to pay Cousins a $27.5 million salary in 2025, which is far more expensive than any other backup quarterback in the NFL. Of course, since they have Penix on an inexpensive rookie contract, the Falcons still aren't allocating a ridiculous amount of cap space to the most important position in the NFL. Still, with so many teams in need of adding a starting quarterback, Cousins should be able to land a starting job somewhere. Yet, Cousins and the Falcons have been unable to find a trade partner thus far. However, according to Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio, there are still strong signs that a trade will be coming. After all, the Falcons have not restructured Cousins' contract. The Cousins contract has a provision allowing the Falcons to automatically restructure the deal whenever they want. They have not yet exercised that right. Doing so would create up to $29.96 million in 2025 cap space by reducing his salary from $27.5 million to $255 million, paying the difference as a bonus and spreading it over 5 years. PFT's Mike Florio on Kirk Cousins. While a Cousins trade does not appear imminent, the veteran reportedly will be eager to waive his not-raid clause after the 2025 NFL Draft, where quarterback depth charts will be more defined. Florio believes that since the Falcons have not restructured Cousins' contract, it's a sign that he will be traded. If they're serious about keeping Cousins for 2025, it would make sense to create another $20 million in cap space. If they're thinking about trading him, it would make no sense. Not only would they pay him a $245 million signing bonus instead of sending his $27.5 million salary to a new team, but they would also absorb a much larger cap hit when trading him. While it's not a certainty that the Falcons would have restructured the Cousins contract if they absolutely were keeping him for 2025, the chances of a restructuring are nil if they're thinking about trading him. PFT on Kirk Cousins' Falcons trade. Several teams, including the Cleveland Browns and Minnesota Vikings, have both a need at quarterback and coaching connections to Cousins. Both teams could still be in play to land Cousins later this offseason, especially if the Falcons don't restructure his contract. And now, Dirty Birds fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Dirty Birds. He'll be back any moment with more Dirty Birds news. ATL, rise up.